Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Estrella Virtual Visit Series. My name is Allison Campbell, and I'm so excited to welcome Jeremy Shearer from Wake Forest University. Our virtual visit series is designed to introduce you all to a variety of colleges and allow for you to get to know the institutions and their staff in a more personal way. So thank you, Jeremy, for joining us. If you don't mind just taking a quick moment to tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you have been at Wake Forest University.
Sure. My name is Jeremy Shearer. I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions for the Midwest region for Wake Forest University. I've been over here just over a couple years. This is actually my second career. I spent 25 years teaching public and private high school and middle school, and then kind of transitioned into this. And so I have seen the teacher's perspective by writing lots of recommendation letters and proofing lots of personal essays. And then in this position, have now read thousands of applications. And on a more personal note, I also have three kids of my own, two of which are in college. So I have recently gone through the process as well.
You definitely get all angles of this. Like you said, the teacher side of it, and God bless our teachers. We know that you are feeling the throes of October right now, too, with the pressure to get
Yep.
all of the letters written from a parent side. I mean, we have a lot of parent stress going on right now. So it's probably good to have someone in your capacity doing what you're doing to kind of ease the stress of like, it will get done, it will be fine.
Yep.
So
Trust the process.
yes, and my colleague Jamie and I had visited Wake Forest. I would say like the end of the spring, and it was just a lovely visit. We met with Jeremy, and we are so glad that you decided to join us because, like I said, it was one of our favorite visits. We hope we get invited back, to be honest, because we talked about how much we really enjoyed it and just all the really innovative, unique things that are going on at Wake Forest. So I know that you're going to tell us a little bit more about that throughout our half hour today. But for those students and families who are not super familiar with Wake Forest, can you just tell us a little bit about your institution, the location, the enrollment, or really any need to know distinctive points of pride?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a private liberal arts university located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We are about an hour and a half away from the mountains and about 3.5, 4 hours away from the beach. Our enrollment is about 5,500. We have been that way for years. I imagine we will probably be that way for decades. We're very happy with it. We like to think of ourselves as a Goldilocks school, not too big and not too small, just the perfect size fit. As I said, we're a private liberal arts university.
I love that Goldilocks size because I think a lot of students don't really know when they say, like, I want a small school or I want a medium-sized school. That medium range is typically from like 4,000 to 15,000. But
Right.
that 5,500 really feels like intimate enough where you're going to have smaller to student faculty ratios. You're going to get to know your peers really well, but you're not going to know everybody and see everybody. You'll always meet new people and
Right.
interact with fresh faces. So we use that term too with a Goldilocks size.
Yeah,
As
absolutely. I was going to say that too. We are definitely more of a national university, not just pulling in students from the Southeast, but we really pull in students from nationwide. Even though we are in North Carolina, only about 14% of our students on campus right now are actual North Carolina residents. So the other 86% come from the other 49 states, and about 8% of our students are also international.
Okay. This is one of my questions actually farther down on my list of questions that I
Sure.
typically ask, but can you speak to maybe the regions of the US that you're seeing a lot of applications from, or maybe the bulk of your current student population is from, if you can speak to that?
Yeah, as much as I can. As I said, I'm in charge of the Midwest. My biggest area is for sure the Chicagoland area. But then right after Chicago is definitely the whole state of Ohio, what I call the three C's, Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Overall, our biggest area probably for we get the most students is the Eastern Corridor up in the Northeast, basically Boston down through New York, Philadelphia, and DC as well. But we also get students from California. We have a lot of students that come from the Los Angeles and San Francisco areas, a remarkable number of students from the Dallas, Texas area, and then again, naturally from the Southeast, from North and South Carolina, Georgia, and through Florida. So we really get students from all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you may, again, if you're watching this, you may have heard of Wake Forest if you watch any type of college athletics, because Wake Forest is a part of the very prestigious Athletic Coast Conference. So they play the likes of Duke, UNC Chapel Hill, Georgia Tech, Virginia, Is Virginia Tech still in the ACC? I can't even remember.
Yep.
Clemson.
Yep.
But you're the
Clemson.
smallest school.
Yes, we are. We are by far the smallest school in the ACC. And we kind of wear that as a badge of honor. We like to say that our tagline is small but mighty. We do very well for ourselves. We handle ourselves in all the big sports, sometimes playing schools that are sometimes 10 times our size. Um, been very successful, have an incredible student participation and school spirit in attendance to sporting events. Some of our current really great programs right now is our men and women's soccer team are all the time very good. The men, I believe, are in the top 10 right now. The ladies were ranked number 4 and then beat somebody ahead of them, so they're going to be moving up even more.
Nice.
Great baseball program. Again, very storied basketball program. Really great thing about Wake Forest and being a D1 ACC school is, and being the smallest school in there, we need our fans to show up for games, and so all of our students are guaranteed a ticket to every single home game and in every single sport, including football and basketball. So when we play those big name teams like Duke and Carolina in basketball, or Florida State and Clemson in football, and when they come to town, you're guaranteed a ticket as a Wake Forest student.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yep.
And you probably can't scalp those either. You must have your student ID or some form of
Oh yeah.
identification. You can't be like Sally Smith, trying to get into the Wake Forest game against Duke or something.
Right.
So
And to add another quick little story, we played Ole Miss a few weeks ago in football, a couple weeks ago in football. And they were ranked number 5. We didn't do so hot. We held our own for a little while, but we did sell out the game, and it was mostly Wake Forest fans, and we set a student attendance record with about 4,700 students attending, and we only have 5,500 students. So
yeah,
it was pretty amazing. And there's a lot of school spirit at Wake Forest. So
I'm
you get
trying to
the
do the
smaller,
math. That's
yeah,
like
you do the smaller,
85%.
yeah, you do the smaller. We have the smaller school community vibe feel where professors are really going to know you. But on the other side, we are in D1 and we play the big names in sports, and so you get the big school experiences as well.
That's awesome. I love that. As you're recruiting students this cycle, overall, holistically, what type of student do you think is a good fit for Wake Forest? Academically, socially, kind of like a good fit on both ends. What would you say?
I would say that really Wake Forest students tend to be in the top 10 to 20% of their class. Very driven, taking taking as rigorous of courses as they can handle, but still be successful in them as well. We're definitely looking for students that are involved, but we look for students that are involved in meaningful ways. In the first regard, we would much rather see students that are involved in 3 or 4 activities, and they have really been dedicated to those activities over the years, rather than having 12 activities listed and they're just showing up once a month for the so-and-so club, just to really put it on the college application. On the other hand, too, Wake Forest's motto is called Pro Humanitate, which translated from Latin means for humanity. We really look for students that are looking to make a difference in the world. We produce a lot of great young people who go into law and medicine and business and teaching and become engineers and everything else like that. But we also really look for students who are going to make a difference in their community and in the world in general.
That's great. That stands out to me. I remember you talking about pro humanitate and how you really use that as like a screening mechanism for the applications that you're reading. If you've got essentially the students that are applying to Wake Forest, they're the top of the top. They're highly academic, they are taking the most rigorous courses, but who's making a difference? Who's going to come and make an impact either at Wake Forest or beyond Wake Forest? So we stress this at Estrella all the time. I think we really do a great job of taking a deep look at our students' activities and, highlighting or bringing out or encouraging, some of our younger students that are freshmen, sophomores that have started working with us. Like, what are you passionate about that can make a difference? So I appreciate you restating that and kind of solidifying
Absolutely.
that for our students because it does make such a huge difference, especially at these extremely selective schools where you've got perfect ACTs, perfect SATs, unblemished GPAs. Like, how are you making a difference in the world?
Right.
So, what trends would you say are you seeing with your university? Maybe it could be a certain region, like we talked about, or particular major that has really become super popular at Wake Forest. Maybe you could speak to something. along those lines?
Sure thing. So as I did state, we are a liberal arts school. Something that makes us stand out a little bit as well is that all of our students come in as undeclared majors. So you can fill out the Common App and it will ask you what your intended major, minor, and interests are. And we'll take a glance at it, but really, we don't care that much. We're really looking for overall really good students. We recognize that well over 50%, I've heard some estimates of close to 75, 80% of students end up changing their major. And so you actually cannot declare a major until your sophomore year here at Wake. It
Okay.
doesn't mean you're not going to take the classes that you're interested in, but we just want to give you a little bit more time. In terms of what really is trending at Wake, we are a liberal arts school, but on the other hand, we have a really great business school. And so our business school is always very popular. There are 4 different majors in the business school. Um, Going back to the coming in undeclared, the great news is that if you apply to Wake Forest and you get into Wake Forest, you are automatically in the engineering program. If you want to be in the engineering program, you're automatically on a pre-health track if you want to declare that track. The only exception for a program that you actually have to apply to, and you apply at the end of your freshman year, is the business school, since it is
Okay.
such an outstanding business school. Um, but yeah, that's definitely, we have 4 different areas in the business school, 4 different majors. And if you add those up, it's definitely makes up our biggest area of campus. If you actually split them up, however, our largest single major is actually politics and international affairs. And probably about half of those students are actually on a pre-law track and want to head towards law school.
Okay.
Some other ones that are really kind of popular at the moment. We just opened a campus downtown. We're about 10 minutes north of downtown Winston-Salem, and in downtown Winston-Salem, we converted an old tobacco processing factory into a new part of our campus. And the top couple floors actually house our new engineering program, and it is a liberal arts approach to engineering program where you don't earn a degree in electrical or civil or mechanical or biomedical engineering. You just get a bachelor's of science in engineering with a liberal arts background, with the hopes that you can graduate and basically go into any particular engineering field afterwards as well. So those are kind
That's
of
great.
some of the big ones. We also have a lot of students that are that very much are on a we call it pre-health, but basically pre-med track. You can't declare your major until sophomore year, but you can declare that you want to be on a pre-health track. And so we have a lot of students that will eventually end up as chemistry or biology majors or biochem or something like that, and then eventually want to apply to medical school.
Okay. I'm writing all this down. So like the pre-health, pre-med track students, they can basically indicate that, and that will kind of help guide their liberal arts core in those first 2 years. And then after that,
Right.
they can proceed into like more specified courses.
Right. And I don't want to make it, again, I want to make it sound like it's not your first 2 years, you are just going to be taking our liberal arts core. It's going to be about 50-50. If you come in wanting to be a pre-med track major, you're still going to be taking biology and chemistry and some of the other courses that are going to be leading you on that pre-health track. But you're also going to take some literature and some humanities as well.
Okay, that's great. For the students that are applying, do you track or consider demonstrated interest?
We do. Yes, we
Okay.
do. So obviously, applying early decision shows your absolute highest level of interest as well. We also realize that visiting campus, especially if you are in the outside of the Cleveland area, may not be the most convenient thing to do. But we do track interest. You can also register online if you take a virtual tour, and we have virtual sessions and everything else as well. But if you do come to campus, we have you register and everything. If you attend school visits, where a representative like myself may be showing up and doing a presentation, we track things like that, and also reaching out to admissions officers if you have questions. But I will make this key little caveat: if you have actual real questions, you don't need to just make up a question and email an admissions officer just to get their credit. You can always say, "Hey, I wanted to introduce myself, and I'm really interested in Wake Forest or whatever university you are." But Wake, yes, we do track demonstrated interest.
Okay. And I've actually recommended this, so you can tell me from your side if you find it to be helpful or maybe it's annoying. But for students that probably won't have the opportunity to make it to campus, or maybe they're in a more rural area where they won't have the opportunity to go, have a high school visit or go to a college fair, we definitely recommend any type of virtual offerings, any way you could get on a mailing list, making sure you're opening emails, things like that. But for my more serious applicants, I typically encourage them to reach out to their admission rep for their area just to say like, hi, my name is so and so, I'm very interested in Wake Forest, if you're in my area, please let me know, whatever that might be. So again, just kind of making that connection without asking again like a redundant question that they could have found on the website.
Right.
But if that's
But
something, just to
yeah,
make a
introduction.
connection. Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, but introductory emails are perfectly fine and they're great, and we do appreciate those, and we do track those and keep them in our system and everything. So if that student who has reached out does eventually apply, we that contact will already show up in their file as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. That's good. Good to know. I was like, what do you said? I'm like, oh boy, because I've been telling some of my high flyers, that want some more selective universities and may not have the bandwidth to visit. I was like, just reach out and introduce yourself because
Yeah,
again, it
yeah.
shows that you're being
Introduction.
serious, making that
Right.
connection. Like it's in a mature fashion too.
Absolutely. Yes. A mature fashion and introductory emails are great. But again, and if students have a real question, please reach out to people like myself. But again, for a lot of things that are just very easily found on the website and they are obviously just emailing just to to reach out like in that regard, it's
Yes,
yeah,
there's a
we
fine
much
line.
there's a fine line. Yes, definitely the introductory email is great.
Okay, perfect. I know when Jamie and I visited, you told us all about Wake London, Wake Vienna, Wake downtown, just all of the different opportunities for your students. And it sounds like the culture on Wake's campus is very global. Like it's kind of an expectation that a student is going to, you know, be traveling somewhere. Wake Washington, that was another thing. So can you talk a little bit about the opportunities that the exclusive Wake Forest opportunities that students have?
Sure, we definitely consider we look for students who have kind of a global mindset. It's definitely not a requirement or expectation, but we have about 80% of our students who will study abroad. So we're currently ranked number third in the nation in study abroad programs. We very much take pride in that, being a smaller sized university. Over 400 programs in about 70 different countries. And as some of the ones that you were alluded to, we do own properties, and we have the Worrell House in London, England. Really cool old English house in a really cool neighborhood, where you will go and stay in just outside of downtown London. Usually 15 to 18 students and a Wake Forest professor and his or her family. Um, and then the Flow House in Vienna, Austria, is a old U.S. Consulate in Austria. A lot of people don't realize what language they speak in Austria is actually German. And we always talk about that a lot of these programs are not language based. Some of them are, but more than half of them are not language based. So on a program like in Vienna, Austria, you would while you were over there, be taking a cultural appreciation course to learn a little bit about the German language, learn a little bit about history and culture as well, but no prereqs being a German major or minor or having taken so much German. The last of our big three is our crown jewel. It's Casa Artom, and that is on the Grand Canal in Venice, Italy. We're one of two universities to have property on the Grand Canal. It's Wake Forest University, and the other one is the University of Venice. And so we consider ourselves pretty up there. It's an incredible location, right there on the Grand Canal as well. And then you
That's
also
awesome.
alluded to Wake Washington. So we are about a 5 hour drive, depending on how fast you drive, from Washington, D.C. And so we have a program where you can go up to D.C. for a semester. And we help arrange an internship during the day, take a couple classes in the evening, and you are working, taking classes, and living in downtown TC in a really cool neighborhood called DuPont Circle. So it's a great program. A lot of students who are politics and international affairs majors focus on that, kind of the pre-law Again, politics side of things. We also have business majors who will take advantage of this and get internships with big name corporations. Communications majors will head up there and get internships with news outlets. Humanities, history majors have gone up and gotten internships with the Smithsonian's. So really great
Okay.
opportunity as well. Yeah, that's
And
Wake, Washington.
where would the students live if they were doing the Wake Washington program?
Yeah, so we actually have part of an apartment building, and so
Okay.
they're living actually downtown DC in a Wake owned property,
That's
which is
awesome. I think
which is
that's
not
just like a
Circle.
lot of insecurity about the cost of living at some of these places. So like the Wake London House, Vienna, the Grand Canal, like you said, they do have like those are
Right, and they're
residences.
all Wake Forest owned. So
Hmm.
a lot of I can't say all of these, but a lot of our study abroad programs um, basically end up being about the same price to be here on campus.
Awesome.
And the really great thing is that all scholarship and financial aid that you have to be here on campus will travel with you to all of the programs as well. So a lot of times the biggest cost for students is going to be the airfare to get wherever they're going to be studying abroad.
Yeah. And that definitely reduces the barrier and makes it so much more accessible for students if they don't have the fear that they're going to lose, their scholarship money won't transfer, or it's going to be, like you said, oh, I'm going to move to London and the cost of living from Winston-Salem to London is so much
Right.
different.
Right.
That's all taken care of.
Yep.
Um, I have one more question about just scholarships. I know that because you have it's so selective and you have so many wonderful students that are applying, really isn't a ton of incentive from a merit-based standpoint for Wake Forest. I mean, could you speak to a little bit of like the merit scholarship opportunities that are
Sure.
possible for students and how that works?
Yeah, you are exactly right. We are do not give a lot of merit scholarships. It ends up about 3% of our students end up with a merit scholarship. We end up giving a lot more money away in terms of the areas of financial need. We are a 100% demonstrated need school. So college is expensive. Wake Forest is kind of up here, not the very top, but it's pretty close to the top. And by filling out the FAFSA and the CSS profile and everything like that, we get a really good idea of how much your family can afford. And when that comes back, and if the number is right here and Wake's tuition is right here, and you choose Wake, and we will basically make sure we cover that difference there. Scholarships and grants are the best. You accept them, and it's free money for school. We do work study program on campus as well. You may work 5 to 10 hours, maybe 15 hours a week on campus. And then we try to keep our loans to minimal as possible. We generally do one loan per year.
Okay.
Another option is that we do these things called presidential scholarships. And there's not just one for each area, there's multiple ones, but 5 different areas. We give presidential scholarships to students who are demonstrate great skill in 5 areas: debate, visual arts, um, music, whether it's vocal or instrumental, theater or dance. I think I did all 5 without
Yep.
repeating them.
Yep. That's fine.
Yep. But yeah, so that's another option as well.
Are those full scholarships?
They are not full scholarships, but they are a hefty chunk, usually between 15 and 20,000.
Okay. And there's one for each of those.
No, there's not one. There's multiple ones in each
Okay.
area. Yeah, so it's not just one for each area. There are multiple. For example, there are multiple students here on campus who received a presidential scholarship in theater.
Okay.
As to how many each year, it kind of depends, but it's somewhere between 5 and 10.
And would that be an additional scholarship application, or is that something that is kind of like flagged as your application is passed through?
That is actually an additional application. It is actually a required portfolio application. So if you are a really great actor or a really great dancer or whichever your art area is, we would love to just believe you, but we actually kind of need some proof and some evidence. And so
Hmm.
we do require a portfolio application as well. And that actually travels through separately through the process. So your admissions, your academic application, and your arts application are actually going through at the same time, but they are not necessarily dependent on each other.
Okay. Very. Very good. Thank you so much for explaining that to us.
Yeah, sure
All
thing.
right, our last one. You should knock this one out of the park. This should be an easy one.
Okay.
Can you tell us who you would say, in your opinion, is the most distinct or famous Wake Forest alum?
Okay. I can only do one?
You could do a few. You could do a few.
Okay. So Arnold Palmer, famous golfer,
Mhm.
is definitely, we have actually have an Arnold Palmer. Both of these two people, we actually have days dedicated to them on campus. We have an Arnold Palmer Day where they give out actual half tea, half lemonades, Arnold Palmers.
Love it.
Great golfer. We have our on campus, our team with the most team championships is our men's golf team. And our women's golf team actually won their first national title in 2023. So Arnold Palmer is one. And
Awesome.
then the other one I would probably have to say is Chris Paul, who was an NBA, or it still is, excuse me, NBA
Okay.
player for years and years. He actually left Wake Forest early to join the NBA and did some great things with multiple teams. He actually came back to Wake a few years ago and completed his degree, so he's an official Wake Forest graduate as well. We
That is
actually have a
awesome.
we actually for Chris Paul Day, he's actually a native of Winston-Salem as well. And another native thing of Winston-Salem is Krispy Kreme donuts. And so on Chris Paul Day, um, Wake Forest students get free Krispy Kreme donuts all day long as
That's
well.
awesome. I wish we had more time because, I mean, like I said, we got such a great insight to Wake Forest and Winston-Salem when we visited. But even Winston-Salem in itself is such a really unique and amazing. It's a college town, but then also just like trendy, artsy, foodie. It's exploding. So if you
Yes.
are someone who's considering Wake Forest, make sure you go visit because you can not only kill time at Wake Forest and have a great visit, but you can also check out the bustling Winston-Salem area. So
Yep.
thank you so
So
much, Jeremy. It was so good to connect with
absolutely.
you. Thanks for all of your insight, and I hope that we can connect again soon.
Sounds good. Take
All
care.
right. Have a great recruitment season.
Bye.
Bye.